Good evening, everyone. This is Pedro, and we're here for a Red Zone orientation meeting. This is Red Zone orientation number 2. This is the second video that we've done. And again, the point of the video is to help you be ready for Red Zone. You can see that there's a group of 2 pages worth of people on tonight. So I'm very grateful that you've all come on. Thank you so much for that. As we get started again, in the chat, there is a link. And that link will take you to the page where we were doing the agenda for tonight. So if you need that, feel free to look over there for that. And we want to make sure that everyone can have that to follow along. So that's where we are for tonight. And I want to share with you a document real quick, and then we can jump in and review it. The first thing is some updates on registration, some updates for registration. So one of the things that we're looking for is trying to just make sure you know all the deadlines. So here's the screen if you need it, and can follow along that way. April 24, this is a new deadline in terms of we've never done this before, but we're looking for clubs to get all their adults done in YMMS. And to get them done means to get them to where they have been cleared in Sterling. So all your volunteers that are coming, all your adults 18 or over, they're cleared in Sterling. You've entered their information in YMMS and they're approved. The only thing you have to do still is register them, but there's no background check you're waiting for. There's no issue. So that's coming up a week from tonight. So if you have any adults that have said, yeah, I want to go to Red Zone, but they're not in your YMMS, they're not cleared in Sterling and approved in YMMS, you can't register them. So we want to make sure that that deadline is something clear in everybody's mind. April 24, 1 week from today. So if you have an adult who wants to attend, a parent who maybe said we want to be there, but they haven't yet done anything, this is your chance to remind them that the conference said by April 24, we got to get this going. Then the next deadline is May 1. This is the deadline where registration actually closes. Once we hit May 1 p.m., that's it. No one else will register. There's no on-site registration. There's no guest that can come. You must be registered to attend. So that's the big heavy deadline, May 1. Keep that in mind. May 1 p.m. That's 1,300 hours for those of you that like military time. And that's the hard deadline. Another thing that we want to make sure everybody knows is that for May 8, that's 1 week after registration closes, that's the last day to make any changes or switches. So in other words, you have a Pathfinder, his name is John, and John changed his mind, he can't go. But now you've got another Pathfinder, Billy, who said he didn't want to go, but now he wants to go. You can switch those. You can switch Pathfinders, adventures. You can even switch adults as long as the adults are already cleared inside of YMMS. If they're not cleared, you can't switch with them. And this is something, guess what? You can do this as a club. You can make that switch. And Marina, our office assistant from the Pathfinder Adventure Department, is going to walk you through how to do this. So I'm going to let her share with you. Do any of you know, can you put a thumbs up or can you wave in the chat or put something next to your name? Does anybody know how to do that in YMMS, how to change? David knows, very good. Ivory knows, very good. So you don't have to change anybody, and ideally after May 1, you don't have to change anybody. But if you do, you have a week to do that. Marina, I think you can share your screen. Are you able to walk us through that real quick?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay.
By the way, Evelyn, we're using your club as an example, but okay.
And Evelyn is part of our team that we have to help train our volunteer team to know how to do this kind of stuff so they can help clubs. All right, there's the Fox couple.
Yes, Fox strong. So this would be what you guys see as club directors and club secretaries. So let's assume that you already have people registered for Red Zone, correct? But you do want to switch someone out. You'd go back to participants like you usually do to register them to begin with. And you'll notice next to each names, there is a section here to click that allows you to hit change. So if, for example, Aiden was no longer attending, I could go ahead and click change. And then here comes a drop down of everyone else that I can substitute Aiden for. So you'll notice that because this registration is the same price for adults and kids, that I can substitute in an adult or a child if needed. And so simply what I would have to do is click on the name and hit confirm. In this case, I won't do it just so that I don't mess with their club's registration, but that's how you would do it. And then when you click save, then the new name would pop up. And here's a log that would show also in case you wanted to see who was switched out for that person. You can also keep track of that, but that's basically how it would go. Any questions on that?
So that's something that you can do. You don't need us from the office to do that. That will be available. Now, please notice there are two details I want you to know. After May 1 p.m., you can't add anyone. There's no way for you to make a payment for a new person. You can switch people. We just walked through how do you switch them. That's the only feature that will be open in terms of registration for you from May 1 to May 8. Once we get to May 8, that will lock down. You can't make any more changes. That will be our final roster for Red Zone. So thank you, Marina. That was great. If you have a question on that, we can come back to it later also, but just wanted to make sure you guys got a chance to see that. Let's go back to our agenda. We've got some other stuff coming up here. If you've looked on social media or seen the email, it'll be going out in the newsletter as well, but the pin design is there. And there are two different kinds of pins. So we want to talk about merch for a little bit under number 3 in the agenda. And under merch, you've got pins, and the deadline for that is April 24, which if you realize that's coming up pretty quick, right? And that was something that you have a few more days to get in on. April 24 is the deadline for pins. And there's a base pin, which is for $350, and a spinner pin, which is $550. After the deadline, there'll be a limited quantity that we'll get that will be available on site, and the price will go up slightly to $4 and to $6. That's for the pins. So 2 different pin options. The deadline's April 24. For the shirt, we do have a shirt design. Again, that's something that we have put online for you to see. The order deadline for that is May 1 at 1 p.m. And that's $10 each in advance and $12 on site, and that will be limited quantities. And we've done something with the sizes to where it's all adult sizes. So it's an adult extra small, an adult small, medium, large, extra large, all the way up through 4XL. So if you have littler kids, the adult XL is the smallest size we'll have. And we did that just to make sure we don't get mixed up with youth sizes and adult sizes. So the only sizes are adult sizes for this event, but the adult extra small is like a youth large. So I just wanted to make sure you know that, and that's there. And to be able to order merch, that's something you can do through the website, and Marina will walk you through how to do that. And then we'll also take a look at the next part of how to sign up for some other stuff. So we'll let Marina drive here for a little bit.
All right, thank you. So we were just talking about shirts. So now I kind of switched, I'm in a different person's account, but the idea is you would still go to events and click register, and the whole list will show up. So basically any registration that you see just a green dollar sign will kind of follow this same trend. We're going to go ahead and test drive the t-shirt one, which I know some of you guys have already started purchasing shirts, but just in case, so we would click first on the green dollar sign, then come up here to the top right corner where it says buy products, and we would click on that. And so this is where we're finally going to be able to start adding items. All right, so top right again to start adding items, and you'll have this drop down menu. So this will show you all the items that are available within this registration. It'll also show you the price, okay? One thing to note is, for example, I want the extra small that Pedro was talking about. Let's say I have 10 adventures that I want to buy this for, right? And I click save. In order to add it to the cart, you'll notice that's 10 shirts, $10 each. That's $100 for that shirt order. However, this is not finalized yet, so I can go ahead and continue adding items up here at the top right corner. Now, let's say by mistake, oops, I thought it was 10, but it's actually 11 shirts that I need that are extra small. I actually cannot go back here and add more because I've already selected that size. So what I really need to do is go back here and delete this and do it anew, okay? So I would delete this like so, it would disappear, go back to add items, and there's the extra small again that pops up, and now I can change it to 11, okay? And you can continue adding items as you need. So let's say I needed 5 medium or 4 mediums. And I click save, and you'll see your list continues to grow from there, right? But you'll notice the sizes start disappearing as I've already selected them, so you don't double order, okay? So let's assume I was done with this order. I would just simply click here to generate, and it'll take me to pay. This is super important because if I'm not ready to make a payment, I should not be in here trying to add items, okay? We want to make sure you guys get this as streamlined as possible, but at the same time, we want to let you guys know that you can come back in and add as many as you need along the way. But just make sure that when you hit generate, you can go ahead and pay for everything all at once, because it will lock your account. And I know you guys have had, some of you guys have had experience with that. If you don't go through with the payment, it will not allow you to continue adding. And so let's assume I forgot my credit card at that moment. I click off. If I go back, here are the 27 shirts I just tried to order, but it was left unpaid because I hit that generate button. So if I go back to the green button, it will not let me add more. So it will give me an error message, okay? Because there's a payment previously made that I haven't completed. But the good thing is that there is a way to get to that payment and get it done and taken care of. So right here, you'll notice it says that it's not paid. I can go ahead and click on this icon right here to go back to the payment window. Or you can also click on this magnifying glass under issue, which is kind of neat because it gives you the URL. So if you do need to send this out to your treasurer or to someone else that does have the card for the church, you can go ahead and just copy paste this and email it to them, and they can go ahead and pay. And then on your end, as soon as they pay, this will turn into a yes, and you'll know that you can add additional if you need to. Any questions on this part? Someone raise their hands.
Those are some pretty cool features. Diane, what's your question about ordering merchandise?
Hi, good night, everybody. So it was really just a
I lost audio on you, Diane. Hello?
She might need to rejoin. Or wait, see, she muted.
Can you hear me now?
There we
Yes.
go. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to clarify, you're saying there are no youth sizes for the shirts?
Correct.
I'm saying the closest to the youth size, which would be like a youth large, is the adult extra small.
Okay. Because we have like some little lambs and eager beavers, so they will have to not get shirts or get shirts to grow into, basically.
Yes, at this point,
Yeah.
that is our smallest size.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, So those are some cool things about ordering merchandise and getting the shirts and getting the link and having somebody help you pay for it if you want to set it up. Thank you, Marina, for walking us through that. Let's jump out of here and go to our next thing. Another part of participating in Red Zone is the PSE events. And that's another thing that you can do to sign up for through YMMS. So we're excited about that. Marina, do you want to walk us through the PSE side of things? How do we get signed up for PSE events? That stands for Pathfinder Skill Events. For the adventures, while you're getting that set up, the adventures will go to their different activities and there is no sign up. It's just open for everybody all at the same time. There is a sign up for Talents for Jesus for Saturday night, but in terms of activities, the bug race and all that, there's no pre-sign up. For Pathfinder side, there is. And Marina, walk us through the PSE Pathfinder Skill Event sign up.
So right before you do that, there was another, the question on the chat, just to recap, for t-shirts, Pedro answered, but just in case anyone missed it. So t-shirts will be handed out at Red Zone. They will not be delivered to each club or church.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so for PSE, for the Pathfinder Skill Events, so same place, events, register. It's one of the many on the list, so just read carefully and you'll find it. Right here, again, we're going to that green $ because we're not registering specific participants. And we'll see here in a second. One thing to remember for PSEs, you are actually only allowed to have one team or one representative for the testing events unless your club has more than 50 registered Pathfinders. So that does not include any staff members to buffer your numbers. It has to be 50 Pathfinders that will allow you to have multiple teams for your PSEs, up to 2. So you'll see here in a second. So we're gonna do the same process as we did with the shirts. We're gonna go buy products. In this case, this registration is free as it shows up here, okay? So you will not be charged anything. We're gonna go ahead and add an item. And so in this case, the items are either teams for the team events or a representative for the testing events. So for example, let's say I want to have one archery team. I would just click 1 and save. And so that would start adding the different teams that I want to register for, okay? We don't need a total head count within that team. We just need how many specific teams you want. And so if by chance you happen to, by mistake, think, okay, yeah, you're talking about how many people total in a team, and I put 4, the system will actually tell you that it needs to be less. So that's a nice little reminder that, hey, I can't put the head count for that event. I'm just looking at the teams or the one representative. So let's say I do have more than 50 Pathfinders registered. I would put 2 and click save. And then I would go ahead and just continue adding all the different teams that I need to let them know that I will have representing our club. Okay, and so again, here's the reminder, right? Only one representative per testing event and 1 team per team event is allowed per club. Registration will be approved by the office. So this is something that, even though this is free, when you click generate, it'll actually send you to a receipt, but you'll notice where it says paid, it actually says still open. So this actually means that it needs to still be approved. You'll see here in a second where it says that it's actually not paid. So I'll go ahead down here. And so this is the one we just did where we added 4 teams and it actually says paid no. Okay, so this one still needs to be approved by the office. Now, what does the office do? We double check your registration to make sure that you're meeting either that more than 50 or less than 50. And just in case there's any typos, we can also go ahead and redo your registration, okay? But once it is approved by the office, then you'll see that it says yes, just like this bottom example, okay? But in the meantime, if you do have one that you did and it's still pending approval, guess what? If you try to add more, it will not let you. So please, please, please try to do your registration as complete as possible, but we also understand things might change. So if you need to come back in and add additional, but your last one was not approved, please go ahead and contact us and we will definitely look into it as soon as we. Any
Excellent.
questions? This.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we are moving along again, trying to get you all that you need to have a smooth transition here to make all this work. The same kind of thing goes for, like, we've gone to YMMS to do the merch, the PSC registration. Some other stuff that lives there is the water park. And we're going to walk through that. I want to go through this content with you real quick here. The best rate is $14 if you sign up in advance, and that's by May 8th. So you get a little bit longer than the registration. Once you lock in all your registration, then you can get these tickets as well. On site, the price is higher, so we encourage you to get tickets purchased before you get there. That's something to go through. And we're going to walk through the drill registration also and the drum inside YMMS at nadyouth.com. Let me just go over some details real quick here. Notice the drill registration. The deadline for drill is Friday, May 5 at noon. And we kept this one just because it's part of what used to happen, and we had already printed that in the manual, and so we didn't want to create confusion, but this is kind of a weird deadline. Everything else has been on May 1 or May 8. This one for drill is Friday, May 5, and it's at noon. And the details of how to do that, Marina's going to walk you through that in a moment, but you'll see in the agenda, which was posted in the chat, you'll see that there's a link there, and you can click on all those links from your own machine when you open up the link from the chat, and it'll take you through the steps. Those links also exist on the website, floridaconference.com/redzone. That's where all of the information for Red Zone lives. We just kind of pulled out some stuff to highlight it as we review tonight with you. So Marina, let's walk through real quick water park, drill and drum, and make sure that everybody knows how to register for those.
Okay. So for the water park, we, again, same place. We'll go to events, register, and the water park will actually might be all the way at the bottom, depending on how you have your registrations sorted, but same kind of situation. You come here to the green dollar sign, and we'll go ahead and buy products, which in this case are going to be the tickets. Notice that here it actually clarifies that 3 and under are actually free. So you will not need to purchase a ticket for them. Only for those 4 and above need a ticket. And that includes anyone entering, not necessarily going into the water. So we clarify that. And also it has the on-site price of $20. Just as a reminder, we will be selling tickets on Sunday as well, if you have any people to add on site. So again, we go to purchase items, we come here, we add an item. In this case, this one's pretty simple because it only has one item to choose from. So let's say I have 10 people coming to the water park. I go ahead and click save. It gives me the total, and I would click generate, and it would take me to the paying window. Any questions on this one? No? Okay. So again, just as a recap, because I know some people came in a little later, if I happen to forget my credit card or something when I'm trying to purchase these tickets, and I close this window, I can go back. So I go back to events and register later, and it actually leaves what I did pending. So it has an unpaid section here that shows me I have 10 unpaid, I go back to the green $sign. And here's the registration I left pending. It says not paid, right? And I can go ahead and click on this icon to go straight to the payment window, or I can go to the magnifying glass and have the link here to the payment window that I can go ahead and share with my treasurer or anyone else that needs to take care of that payment. As soon as they cover the payment, this will change to a yes. Also notice there's an expiration date here, so you do have a window of opportunity to get this done. If the expiration date passes and you haven't taken care of this, then we will need to reset that attempt. But in the meantime, until this is not paid, you will not be able to add additional registrations or tickets in this case for any of those types of registrations.
So Marina, would it be fair to say if I leave my water park tickets pending and then try to go get some t-shirts, if I didn't pay the ticket that I already started with the water park, but I'm trying to get t-shirts, will it let me get t-shirts?
It actually will, because those are separate registrations.
Okay,
So you could actually, like how we have it right now, we just generated a t-shirts ticket or registration and a water park ticket. So I could do both and then email my treasurer both links so
perfect.
that they can take care of it all at once, but it will be 2 separate payments.
Right. Okay. Very good. So now let's look at drill and drum registration for those that are doing that. Make sure everybody knows how to do that.
Yeah, 1 sec. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and go from the Red Zone website on this.
Okay.
But you do have the link within the agenda as well. So you'll notice our page got reconfigured a little bit based on what's happening. So there is, a merch ad here if you wanted to share it with your family, with your families as well, of what the shirt and the pins look like. But towards the bottom here in additional activities, you'll notice we have drum and drill registration information. So the drum form is actually something that you need to print out and fill out. As you can see here, it is due by Monday, May 1st at 1 p.m. And then all the way at the bottom, it tells you to email it to our drum director, Daryl Edwards. Okay, so this one's pretty self-explanatory. Just fill out the information and email it to Daryl.
And the form lives on the website. Yep.
Correct. The form lives right here. Now for drill's a little more intricate. So you'll notice that there is a drill team number 1 registration link and a drill team 2 registration link. There's also, for reference, the part of the drill manual that has been updated in case you guys want to check it out. And there's also the ability to register an adult precision team. So this is more of for reference, but both kinds of drill can be registered within these forms. So I'm just going to go ahead and click the first one as an example. So you'll notice it's for drill team number 1. You'll go ahead and just fill out the form, making sure to click on the category that you want to register for your first team. And this pretty much follows the same information that was required within the manual. It talks about the limits when it comes to having more than 75 active pathfinders and how that works with registration. It requires you to add all of the information about the drill captain, the drill team information. Just go in and go ahead and fill it out. And then there is some stuff for you to acknowledge that you understand. So part of that is if you have a precision drill team, whether it be Pathfinder or an adult precision team, you will need to send in your agenda. And for freestyle, you'll need to send a link to a video to Alex. So you can go ahead and just acknowledge here and finish your registration, and that would take care of your first team. If you do have an adult team, you can technically register them as a first, second team. Also, something that Alex wanted me to just point out, this part right here are all the performing drill team members 17 or younger. Obviously, that's a question for the Pathfinder position, for the Pathfinder teams. So obviously, if you're registering an adult-only team, that would be no. But just to point that out. And the other registration form is exactly the same. It just says drill team 2 at the top. Okay.
All right, thank you. So that's it in terms of the registrations and doing all those things. Let's jump back to the agenda. I think one of the things that was helpful too is you see kind of the same pattern, right? If you want merch, here's how you do it. If you want to do sign up for PSE, here's how you do it. And it's repetitive, but it's kind of the same pattern to go through. Look for that $sign on that green button and click there. So we're making good progress on our agenda. Oh, Jesus has his hand up. Jesus, what's your question?
Just real quick, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. You mentioned are all the Pathfinders 17 and under. Just to clarify, what if a Pathfinder has just turned 18? Are they considered adults?
In terms of their eligibility to do drill?
Yeah, because the question said, are they all 17 and under?
Yeah, correct. So at the date of the performance, all the drill team members must be 17 and under.
So if we have a Pathfinder who has turned 18, but they're not done with the Pathfinder year yet, they wouldn't be able to perform?
That's my understanding from the drill manual, yes. I can clarify with our drill instructor and get back to you. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's just to confirm because we do have, not for the drill team, but we do have Pathfinders, for example, that have already turned 18 and their year's not over. We still, got a couple months to go.
Yeah, no, I understand the question.
Okay. Let me ask you this since I'm here.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We'll let you know as soon as we can because I'd hate for them to keep practicing and drilling and doing all that, and then they get there and say no. So I'm glad you're on tonight, and I'll get you an answer.
Thank you. Same question for Sterling. If they're still a Pathfinder, do we put them in Sterling if they're already 18?
If they are already 18, yes, they do need to be background checked. That's a great question. Right. That is a non-negotiable. Once they're 18, they must be background checked.
Yep, just making sure. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. All right, I don't think I see any other hands. I'm going to actually text our drill instructor now and see if we can't get that done. All right, get an answer back. So here we go. Let's move down. This is a new one. You'll notice the red line says new. This is something I want to go over with everyone, and we will go over this again on the meeting with everybody who's registered for Red Zone, and once that's closed after May 1. But I want everyone to walk through this with me just to make sure. We're going to try something new this year for vehicles. We have not gotten the cooperation that we've asked for, which is 1 vehicle per campsite. Vehicles just come in, and then they stay in. And we ask Friday night, please leave, and we don't get much action. So we're going to change how vehicles enter camp to try to get a handle on that situation. So the rule of 1 vehicle parked in your campsite, that's still there. In your campsite or lodging that you've purchased, that rule's still there. And now we will only allow 1 additional vehicle inside the camp during setup at any time. So what that means is during setup, any club will have a maximum of 2 vehicles inside the camp, your camping area, or by your lodging at any time. So you might say, well, wait, I've got 5 vehicles coming and I got to get stuff in. Okay. So 1 vehicle after that first vehicle that's going to park and stay there comes in. The second vehicle comes in, they come in and unload. Once they have exited and parked, then you can have an additional vehicle come back in. But we will only allow a maximum of 2 vehicles during the load in process. And that's to try to get, again, handle on how congested and how much traffic and how many vehicles are back in the camping area where all of these young people are. So only 1 additional vehicle allowed inside camp during setup. The club director will be coordinating that. So if you as a club director, let's say you have 5 vehicles coming, each of those vehicles has gear that has to get driven back into the campsite or back to the lodging, then as club director, we ask that you coordinate that. So if you know some are coming at 4, some are coming at 5, some are coming at 6, all you have to do is make sure that the one vehicle that's going to stay parked, they come in, they park, no problem. The only way an additional vehicle comes is if there isn't a vehicle already in there. So only 2 vehicles from the same club will enter camp. After that, no other vehicles for that club will be allowed in. One of those vehicles must exit before another different second vehicle will be allowed in. And this is our attempt to say, we're serious about limiting the amount of cars. We're serious about people listening to our request to only keep 1 car in there and to unload and exit. And this is our best attempt as we've processed this to say, how can we get a handle on this? By Friday, 9:59, so that means you need to be planning on this, only 1 parked vehicle per club will be allowed in the camping area or your purchased housing. So be planning on that. If you have that second vehicle still in there, move it out. In our ideal world, every vehicle that comes in only comes in, unloads, and exits. It's not a let me stay, let me get distracted doing 10 other things. Come in, unload, exit. Another vehicle comes in, unloads, exits. And that's where we are. So this is something that we're going to do different this year. Wanted to make sure everybody knows about it. Again, this will be something we review in our May meeting once we have completely locked down registration to make sure everybody knows what to expect. As usual, after 10 o'clock, no vehicles allowed to drive inside camp. So at 10 o'clock on Friday night, the driving inside our village stops. So that's something we just want you to be aware of. The same thing, the thing that's true as it was before is that you get 1 vehicle parked inside your camping area or outside of your lodging that you've purchased. The thing that's different is only 1 additional vehicle at a time will be allowed in during setup. So please plan accordingly so that that doesn't cause you frustration. We know that there's a lot of gear that you need to bring in. As long as your director is helping move vehicles in and out and coordinating that, or the director can appoint someone else to do that. But we really want to get a handle on this and make that a smoother process. All right. Another thing that's new for 2023 is that all adults will need to have a photo ID upon check-in. So as you arrive, all adults will need to have a photo ID. And that's something that's important that we want you to have. That's where we'll verify all the adults coming in. And I think I see a hand raised. Let me pause for a moment. Is that Tomas?
Hi, Pedro. Yeah, this is me. Thank you for
Hey, man.
calling on me. I have a quick question about the previous point.
Yes.
For that one, most of the time, I think a lot of people camp by the airfield, right, past the water park.
Correct.
And so, there's going to be some Pathfinders that, maybe obviously come with their sleeping bag, their book bag, and stuff like that. So basically, if they're not in one of the cars, what I'm hearing you say is that from the entrance, they'll have to, basically walk with all their gear over there. Is there a way that we can, I don't know, facilitate golf carts or just different things like that, help maybe some of the younger ones to carry all their personal equipment?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you, Tomas. So please understand, you have 2 options. One would be to park your vehicle and everybody walks their gear in. I think the better option that we're offering to you is you have up to a maximum of 2 vehicles for your club to be inside at any time. As long as one of those vehicles goes out and parks, a different vehicle from your club can come in. So you can have club vehicles coming and going as long as you don't pass the number of 2 for your club, and that's not a problem. So you don't have to walk stuff in unless you come after 10 p.m. If you come after 10 p.m., then you are going to have to walk gear in and do all of that. Does that clarification help at all?
Yeah, it does. I mean, so basically then, like, if because many times you have different parents coming in and dropping people off and stuff like that. So what you're saying then is, like, if one parent comes in, is going to drop off their kid, they have to drop them off, then basically be done with that and leave until the next person will come in. And I guess you guys will have some way of knowing how many people are there at a time or something like that?
Correct. We will monitor that. Yes.
Okay. Yep. That
So
was my question.
if a parent wants to walk back with their kid and park and carry their gear in, that's an option. If there aren't already 2 vehicles from your club back there, then they could drive back, they could drop their kid off, then they'll need to exit. If they want to come back and hang out at the campsite and be around and visit for a little bit, they can do that, but their car has to be parked and they'd have to walk back to your campsite.
Thank you, Pedro.
All right.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Some
Pedro.
other hands.
Perdón, Pastor Pedro. Soy del Club de North Miami Spanish de aquí de Miami, Florida. Estamos teniendo problemas porque vamos a rentar van de 12 y nadie nos asegura que nos van a dar las vanes que la Florida requiere. Entonces, no tengo muchos choferes como para yo poder optar por rentar vanes de 8, vanes de 9. Nosotros estamos aquí ahorita, ya estamos inscritos y todos, pero estamos con esa situación ahorita aquí en el club.
Sí. Okay, she's saying that her attempt to rent vehicles for 12 passenger vans, which is, she said it was a Florida requirement. That's actually a North American division requirement that we enforce. That is something that she's having a problem with, and she doesn't have enough drivers for 8 passenger vans, and they rental company can't guarantee her the 12 passenger vans and not the 15 passenger vans. Es una buena pregunta y gracias por hacerla. I'm going to answer her in Spanish real quick. Uno de los desafíos es exactamente lo que ha dicho. Muchas veces las compañías de renta de vehículos no puede garantizar y muchas veces hasta te prometan, vamos a tener un vehículo de 12 pasajeros, pero cuando tú llegas es de 15. Y me alegra mucho que usted sabe de ese regla de que no se puede rentar, ni manejar, ni cargar niños en un van de 15 pasajeros, porque eso es un vehículo peligroso. Y nosotros, aún en Florida, hemos tenido accidentes con esos vehículos donde chicos han sido tirados del vehículo y han muerto, o han sido heridos en una manera bien seria. Entonces, por eso es la regla. Algunas personas se juntan con otros clubes para alquilar buses donde tiene 40 asientos, 50 asientos, y ahí pueden combinar 2 clubes chicos de 25 personas en uno, 25 en el otro y comparten el gasto del bus. Es una manera. La otra es, como usted dijo, rentar vanes que son más pequeños de 8 pasajeros que pueden garantizar que solamente 8 personas caben. Eso requiere que hay que reclutar más choferes. Y yo entiendo esa situación, pero es una regla que es firme y no la podemos manipular ni cambiar. I was just sharing with her that many clubs have that situation where they've told us they've been promised that there's a 12 passenger van waiting for them. When they get there, it's really a 15 passenger van. And we have been told that we cannot use them. Administration, even from Florida Conference, has made a firm statement that if a club shows up in a 15 passenger van, that their pastor could lose their job by allowing the club to take kids in a 15 passenger van, which is not permitted by our insurance. So there's a very serious rule that we can't change or manipulate. So what are the options? One would be to look for more drivers and to get 8 passenger vans. One would be to look for another club that's smaller that would like to share the cost of renting a bus, something that the driver would take you and come up and back, come to and back from Camp Calaqua. Those are some of the options that exist. Another one might be that parents would be responsible to help drive their kids. If you do add different drivers and you do have parents driving kids, there are some requirements for that. You have to have a certain level of insurance and you have to have certain requirements, and each child has to have a working safety belt for that vehicle. So there are some things in terms of vehicles and driving. I know that's been a challenge for some people. Most rental companies don't have an issue with renting 15 passenger vans, but for Florida Conference and for all of North America, that is not an option. You cannot put kids in a 15 passenger van. Not only will we not let you stay at camp, but we also will have to inform your pastor, and the conference will follow up with your pastor, and that could be a serious problem for your pastor as well. So I don't have an easy solution for that, but those are some options.
Pastor, perdón. Nos recomendaron que hay un app, estoy comentándolo, que hay un app que son personas que tienen sus carros propios y que los
Yep.
ponen, lo podemos utilizar eso porque hemos estado en duda de agarrar eso,
Okay,
porque nos estaban ofreciendo una van de 10, pero
Yeah.
también la conferencia me dijo que tuviera cuidado porque maybe han sido que le han quitado 2 asientos y son de 12. Entonces estamos tratando de verlo lo mejor porque no queremos que pase nada, ¿no? Estamos en la
Sí.
mano del Señor, pero no queremos que pase nada. Hemos
Ya.
tratado de buscar también algún club pequeño, pero nosotros vamos 46 personas del club, entonces imagínense, entre padres y, o sea, de verdad que se
Con
nos ha hecho un poquito difícil.
46, ¿por qué no piensan en un bus?
El bus nos sale mucho más caro, pastor.
Okay.
El mínimo de un bus nos han pedido $5,000, lo mínimo.
Okay, okay.
Lo mínimo, y eso, si nosotros le ponemos al driver, le ponemos el hotel, la comida que se va a comer para que él no regrese, porque si regresa nuevamente, después no vuelve a recoger, sale mucho más caro.
Ya, entiendo. Okay. Mira, hermana, yo voy a poner mi número aquí en el chat y por qué no hablamos después acerca de esto y vamos a ver qué podemos hacer para ayudarle. ¿Ve mi número ahí en el chat? So the lady was just saying that she's asked about, there's an app with different people who might rent you their personal vehicle. I think Turo is one of those companies that does personal rentals where I have a car, I want to make some extra money, so I'll loan it out to people. If you do that, and when you rent a vehicle, you're supposed to get insurance through the conference, which is for $1 million. And that's a different level of insurance policy, right? That's not normal. I go to Enterprise or I go to Thrifty or Dollar rental car and I get a car and I just say, my insurance will cover it. The request is that you would get an additional policy for that vehicle, that a different insurance policy through our office. And that's something that we can help you with in the newsletter, and we can send out in an email as well. But that's all transportation and vehicle stuff. And I did ask the lady, I told her my number is in the chat if she wants to follow up with me privately. Okay, very good. N Brown, is that Norv?
Pedro, really quick, if you could
Yeah.
check. Alex responded.
Oh, let me see.
Good afternoon. My name is Nova Brown, Palm Springs. Just to be clear, when we have one vehicle in and the other one comes in,
Yes.
how are we guaranteed that? I know in a perfect world, it will work out, but in an imperfect world, how will we guarantee that the gate will let the other person in, even though we send one vehicle out? Are we going to get a badge that says 2 Palm Springs? So if you don't have one at the gate, it's going to say that both vehicles are in? I'm making sure.
Yes, thank you for that question. And that is what we are processing. We will have more details on that on May, is it May 7? I think it's May 7, when we do our final meeting.
Yes.
What was that?
Yeah, May 7.
Yeah, so Sunday, May 7, we're going to do our final meeting and we'll walk through all those steps for everybody who's registered. I think everybody who's on here is planning to come to Red Zone, but we want to have a special meeting with special details about everybody who absolutely is coming to Red Zone. And we'll do that on May 7. So that's our responsibility to monitor how many vehicles are in, that you get your 2 vehicles in, and that you only have 2 vehicles in. Your responsibility is to make sure those vehicles move relatively quickly. So they come in, they unload, they exit. They come in, they unload, they exit, because you have other vehicles that want to come in and unload. The other option would be that you would park and carry gear in. We don't want you to have to do that, but we definitely want to control the vehicles that are moving around inside the camping area and inside the lodging area. So those are things that we definitely will be monitoring, and you'll hear more details about that. All
There's
right?
also the option of maybe meeting up either at the Winn-Dixie outside of camp or something like that, where you might be able to put most of the gear from maybe most of the kids inside one vehicle that is going to go in to hopefully help with that moving of items. There's also a question from Vanessa in the chat.
Yeah.
She's asking, what about those staying in other areas like the mini lodges, etc.?
Yeah, so same thing would apply. If you, let's say you are from Homestead Spanish, you have a mini lodge, you get one vehicle that can stay there. You can have one additional vehicle to come in, unload, and then go out, and then another vehicle come in if you have multiple vehicles that need to come in. So this may change how you pack stuff, or it may change how you coordinate stuff in terms of we're not just going to let any vehicle and every vehicle come through because we haven't been able to get those vehicles back out. So some of you have been great at that, and I thank you for that. Other clubs have consistently been uncooperative, and because of that, we're saying we're going to do something different to kind of help get the goal we want, which is to keep the inner city as safe as possible with as few vehicles as possible moving around. So thank you for your input on that and your comments. I do have an answer back from our drill director. Once a Pathfinder turns 18, Jesus, are you still with us? Jesus?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
There he is. So I did find out from our drill director, yes, it is 17 as I remembered from the manual. And once a Pathfinder turns 18, they could form an adult precision team, which you see as a third option. So you have precision, you have freestyle for Pathfinders, and then once you're 18, there is a adult precision drill team. So I would challenge you to challenge your Pathfinders that are already 18 or gonna be 18 at the time of the Red Zone event to form an adult drill team and participate at the adult level. But it is 17.
Okay. Is that rule still also apply to drum?
Drum is different. Drum has a different rule. For drum, you can be, if I'm not mistaken, up to 19.
Oh, okay. So basically, once our Pathfinders reach Navigator level or 12th grade, if they're going to be in drill, we need to be aware.
Correct. If they're going to, well, so I would say by age, because the requirement's age, because you can have someone who's 18 that's already still a junior, right? So that's a unique thing, but I just want to be clear. 17 and under is the required age to be in a drill team with Pathfinders. Once you hit 18, there is an adult precision drill team that they could form. And that's also like, you could be in that with if you wanted to, you could have other staff in that. Like that's drill team could be for anyone 18 and up, and that's an adult precision drill team.
Yeah, I think my drill days are way past.
Hey, I've come watch, man. I've come watch.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the info.
Of course. All right, let's go to some hands. Evelyn.
My question is, can a person with a driver's license from another country transport Pathfinders?
I would say that a person with a license from another country, I'm not sure what the law in Florida is about non-Florida licenses driving around. I'd have to get information on that before I could answer that correctly. So I think I would say check with local Florida road authorities to see if that's legal. I don't know. I've never tried to drive with a non-US driver's license in the US. I don't know what's required.
If they can also contact Rhonda, because it's not just Florida, but also the NAD.
Yeah. So Evelyn, if you can email that question to us and we can forward that in and check out with the other people that we answer to see what they would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Cheryl, good evening. You're up next.
Good evening, Pedro. So my question is, if you're bringing over 50 Pathfinders, that doesn't include staff or parents, could we have a third car or a fourth car? I don't see how to unload, even if you give each parent 5 minutes, 10 minutes with the long line at registration. How do you work that out? Because we were waiting in line for hours.
Yeah. So you're right, there was a long line, especially in the last Red Zone, and this is an opportunity to apologize again for that. That was a challenge that was created and we did not anticipate that. Again, we're not anticipating that this next time, and in fact, we're trying to mitigate against that. So that's that part. In terms of a club with more than 50, I can process that some more with the team to see what that looks like. I think the facts are that some of our bigger clubs have been some of our biggest violators with having multiple vehicles that don't move. So that's part of our challenge. So let me process that. I'll make a note of it. Thank you for the question, and we'll get back to you definitely on that May date. So I think,
Vanessa had another question in the chat.
okay. Yeah, so in terms of all the staging and all that, we'll go through all those details, specifics of how that looks and how that flows coming up on the May meeting. So I expected some questions because it's new, right? And so I'm thankful for the questions. This is something that we will share more with. It was shared tonight just kind of as an introduction to get you familiar with the idea, to get you thinking about the idea. So maybe you start to think I plan differently with how I pack stuff, right? My chuck wagon with all our camp gear. And then I just have parents coming in cars with kids, but all their luggage, all their gear is in our chuck wagon. So the parents just park, drop the kids off, the kids check in, they walk into camp, they find our campsite, but the vehicles with all the gear are going in. There are different ways that we've thought clubs could handle that. Or if you have multiple vehicles coming, you're going to have to coordinate and move and come in and out and back and forth. But we, again, please work with us on this, because what we're trying to do is get control of the city inside, which is something that we haven't been able to do by just asking people to move their vehicles. So this is going to be a learning curve. I think you can see that. And your questions are helping to help make this a great experience, but work with us. We're trying to find the right mix of how this works to both accommodate the needs to get clubs and kids in to unload, and also the need to make sure that the city is moving in a way that's efficient and keeping kids safe without all these vehicles running around. All right. 2 more questions real quick. Carol, let's go to you.
Yes, good evening again. I have a Pathfinder who will be turning 18 on the last day of Red Zone. So
okay. What great timing.
I'm telling you. So does he need to do the have the background check done, or would he be cleared?
Yeah. So Marina, I'll let you jump in on that if you want to. What I've understood is if they are completing an 18th birthday at any point during or before Red Zone, then there's a way for us to trigger that background check. So yes, we would ask that any Pathfinder turning 18 during or before the dates of Red Zone, that they would do that. And you can email us at the office to get some help with that and to get some more details. But thank you for asking. I do see, you're welcome. Marina, anything to add on that?
No, that's good. I'm gonna add the email address in the chat just in case anyone wants.
Okay, I was already onto that, so I'll just finish. I see that we've got Anthony Shaw with his hand up. And then I think in the chat, someone, Santiago, raised his hand. We'll go to him after Anthony. Anthony, go ahead.
Hi, good night all. We heard the big picture of the unloading and and getting the vehicle out. Would you be open at this time to listen to other suggestions from from the members, from the directors and staff, what other alternative, how they would help us to manage in and out? We said 2 in and out. One person said if they have 50 or more, it would be difficult. What other ways or you will be open to listen, or
yeah, we would be open to that, definitely. And that's, I think, why Cheryl raised the question. I think that's why you're raising the question, what else could we do? This is evolving, so it's still developing. So yeah, if you have a comment, if you want to say it now, if you want to send it as an email, I would hope that that's kind of been the way that how we operate, right? Like there is room to discuss and dialogue, and there are some reasons why we do what we do and some thinking already behind what we've said. So it's not like we just woke up one night and said, let's just do this. Like, this is something that we've been processing and discussing and dialoguing to try to find the best solution. So yes, if you have an idea or suggestion, please feel free to share it, and we'll take it.
There's some stuff in the chat if you wanna.
Yeah, so let me finish real quick the agenda and then we'll open wide for discussion. Just so that if anybody wants to go, they can. Let me come back here and then we'll stay. Let me get here real quick. Okay, let me share the agenda and then we'll finish up with questions and stay as long as we need to. Number 9, we said for photo ID, all adults will need photo ID. So remember that as you check in, please tell all your adults that they need to have a photo ID. And then number 10, this is also something that's new. We're asking that you would have either printed or on your phone, your ticket from YMMS that it's ready to scan. We will be scanning tickets as you come in this year and making that part of our check-in process. So we'll be sending out information. Again, we'll in our May 7 meeting, we'll do a tutorial with you online, walk you through how to get those tickets, how to print them. We'll also walk you through how to get them on your phone. So all those details we'll be sharing with you. This is more of an introduction. We want you to be ready for this. And then this is another form that we're looking at right here. This is a form for camping information. And you'll see that the deadline is May 8 for that. And this is simply where are your club members staying? And if you click on that link, again, Marina, if you could pop that into the chat one more time. The agenda that you see here was in the chat earlier. We'll put it back in there in case you came on later. And you can see the agenda that we've been reviewing here tonight. But this is simply to let us know if you're staying off-site, if you're staying at a hotel, if you're staying on-site in one of the lodges or in one of the camp housing, or if you need camping space. And we're going to add up all the numbers. If you say you have 35 people registered and you have 30 staying off-site and 5 tent camping, then 30 plus 5 equals 35. That number matches the number we have for you. And that will help us know to set up camping space for you for 5 people. The rest of your people are off-site. This will help us as we build the city and try to take the number of how many people are on site, how many people are camping, and set up all of the camping area. So that's an important form. And that again is in the link. If you look in the chat room, you can find this document with the agenda and number 11 with the link to send us that information. The final thing for tonight, and then we'll go back to the chat room and finish up with questions and answers, is there will be another Zoom meeting on Sunday, May 7, and that's our final Zoom meeting before Red Zone. That Zoom meeting will be with registered clubs only. So that's not an open general link. That means if you made it by May 1, did all your registration, you've made all your changes, these are the people that are actually coming to Red Zone, and that will be a final Zoom meeting where we'll have time with you to answer questions, to go through things, to share details, and even more details on some things than we did tonight. So that's our agenda. Let me go back through the chat, and if you want to raise your hand at this point, you can. Let me go back here. All right, so I do have a hand in the chat, but I didn't see you raise your hand earlier. Do you still have a question for us?
I do.
Go ahead. Is this Santiago?
Yes, it's me.
Okay, go for it.
All right. I just want to ask about the cars. You know, the golf cars that
Yes.
we use at Red Zone.
Okay.
Are they still available, and what will be the pricing? Do you know?
Yeah, good question. So golf carts are available on a limited basis, and there has to be a medical reason for the golf cart. That means you get a doctor's letter signed by the doctor's office and the doctor that says this person for this reason needs a golf cart to move around. So that's the first step. The second step would then be to pay for it. And Marina, I want to say it's $375 for the golf cart.
Correct.
So that's the fee for the golf cart for the weekend, and it's a 4-seater golf cart, but that's the process, and they are limited. We don't have an unlimited supply of golf carts, but there are some that would be available for medical reasons. Does that help?
Right. All right, perfect.
Okay, and I'll just go through the chat. There was one other question about what if I'm staying in the mini lodge. If you are, this is for parking and vehicles. If I'm staying in the mini lodge, I still get 1 vehicle that can stay there parked the whole weekend. I can have 1 additional vehicle for a total of 2 vehicles to load, to unload, and then exit, and a second vehicle comes back but always 2 vehicles. At least that's where we are for now. I did also see a comment in the chat. We've thought about this. We thought about a ticket for if you don't move your vehicles, like there's a ticket. But then we said, how do you enforce paying a ticket? Like after you leave camp, are you going to pay the ticket? And we don't want to make people pay a ticket. I mean, we've even thought of some other stuff that might surprise some people in terms of how do we get a handle on this. But if you have other ideas, please do share them with us. Most of the stuff that we've thought through, we came down and settled on this. Let's limit the number coming in from the very beginning. So that's about the whole parking and vehicles in and out. I do see a hand with Karen Roberts and then Diane Williams. Karen, would you like to speak tonight?
Yes, that's a pleasure. What I have to say, I'm grateful for this meeting, and I sat and listened how easy you guys made it for registration for Red Zone. But in the future, I'm thinking ahead because registration for the club will be coming up soon. And I was hoping that the internet, it would be more internet friendly. So if somebody could look into that to make it more internet friendly, that when we're registering, when I say internet friendly, take for instance, now I live all the way in, my city is St. Petersburg, Florida, and I can just click and put a S and it popped up. I have to scroll all the way down, so I would like to see that in the future, please.
Was that for selecting your city?
Yes, and yeah, I think that's the most difficult part, selecting the city.
Yeah, by the time you get to Petersburg, your finger's already tired.
Right, sir. You know what I'm talking.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Let's go to Diane, I think is next, and then Eartha will come to you.
Okay.
Yes, good night. So similar question to what I asked at the last meeting. We found ourselves in an unusual position to have almost no housing in Red Zone. So a lot of our club will be staying off outside of Kalakwa.
Okay.
I understand before when I'd asked about one person that we'd have to meet them at the gate, but what happens with persons who are staying out of Kalakwa for the duration of Red Zone? How do they move back and forth? Are they going to always need somebody from the inside to come and collect them, or once they register and swipe their ticket, can they move back and forth? I know they can't come all the way in and park, but will somebody need to collect them at the gate to vouch for them? Or once they come in on Friday night, register, get their ticket, can they then come back and forth for the activities?
Yes, thank you for the question. If I understand you right, your question is how do we move people who are staying off-site to get in and out of camp? And you've got the right answer. Once you check in, once you have your printed ticket or your ticket on your device, your phone, one ticket for everybody that's there, you'll get in it. Once your ticket's scanned, you'll get a wristband for that person. After that point, the wristband is all that person needs to show at the gate to security to come in and out. That means if they're in a vehicle, everybody shows their wristband, security says you can go park, they park, they walk in and they have their wristband and they're good to go. So yes, once everybody has been checked in, the wristband takes the place of the ticket and the scanning. That wristband is your passage to go in and out throughout the weekend whenever you come and go.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Eartha wants to share something with us. Eartha, go ahead.
Yes, Pastor Pedro, I just wanted to address if someone is coming for a day, just as a reminder, that they would still need to register for the entire weekend in YMMS, even though they come in, let's say they just come up for Sabbath or maybe just Sunday, to watch a drill. They still have to register in the YMMS still, and pay for the entire weekend, but they can come either day.
Thank you for that. And
day.
that's one of the questions in the chat also. What if we arrive on Saturday? If you miss the check-in on Friday, you would be directed towards park, and then you would park, and then you would come check in. You would exchange your scanning, your ticket for a wristband, and that would get you coming in and out for the rest of the time. I do see another comment in the chat to have the police ticket vehicles that don't move out. That's another way to do it. And we've also thought about that. And if the police did it, then that would be different. I hope that you get the sense that we're trying to make Red Zone a good experience for people. We don't want people to be getting ticketed and doing that. And I don't mind sharing this with you. I know it's being recorded, but it's something we've talked about, even hiring a tow truck. And if clubs don't move their vehicles, but we're like, let's not get to that point. Let's not escalate from we've asked you, you haven't. We've asked you, you haven't, to we're going to tow you or we're going to fine you. This is kind of a baby step from we haven't gotten the cooperation we want. So we're going to change the way that we allow flow to move. And if that doesn't get it, then there are some other options. But we didn't want to go from 0 to 100. We said, let's try to move it in a graduated way, kind of in a baby step way. So this really depends on the city, right? It depends on our club directors and how they respond and how they act. If everybody cooperates and this works, then we found a solution. If it doesn't, we'll try some other stuff. But I know we're committed to helping you get in, do what you need to do, but we're also committed to helping get the result that we want, which is not all these vehicles inside, not following the instructions. So that's that. All right, I see two more hands, Sister Brown and then Tomas. Sister Brown, go ahead.
I'm a little worried because the last time the line was very long and it was because they were checking names. But you said we're scanning tickets. Isn't there a way you can scan the ticket for, like, say, Palm Springs? You have 25 people. You scan one barcode and all 25 people come up. Then you're scanning one ticket, two ticket, three ticket. That still sounds like a very long line to me, Pastor. And I'm going to be honest, because if you have a bus of 50 people with 10 adults showing 10 IDs, it's going to take a long time. I'm just being honest. I'm just an optimist, and that's how I'm seeing it. The last time I was there, I walked a whole from the gate all the way up to the front to see what was going on, because we were sitting in the line for an hour before we could get in.
Yeah, well, that was fast. Some people were there for 2 hours. So, but we don't want you to have that hour experience. And last time, I can tell you that one of our staff went on a bus. We're talking 50 plus people, took care of everybody on the bus and was off the bus in 5 minutes. So it can be done. Like we know that it can be done. Here's the challenge. The challenge is when somebody comes and they don't have tickets ready, they don't have tickets on their phone, they're not printed, or they have somebody with them that's not registered. Anytime somebody does something that we've asked them not to do, that's what causes a glitch. And so what we're trying to do is say, when we hit those things, those people will be removed from the line. They'll go to another line and they will have to wait while we continue to process those who have done what we've asked them to do. So we are working on some things. You're right. It did take a long time. And you're right. If people are scrambling in their wallet to find their ID, or where did I leave it? Or can you find me my bag? Or it's buried under 10 suitcases in the trunk of the car. That will be, can you please drive over to this space? We're going to come back to you, but we're going to keep moving for those that are ready. So again, some of those details we're going to hit next time in the May meeting to help everybody know, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what you can expect. And here's what's expected of you so that you can have a smooth process. Those are details that we are definitely working on. We have been since last Red Zone. That was a painful lesson for us. So we are doing everything we can to not repeat that. So I appreciate the comment. And I guess the proof will be how we do on May 26th, right? Like we're gonna do our best to make sure that's a better experience for you. And as you know, if you've planned stuff, you plan and you try to do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's better than you thought, sometimes it's worse than you thought. So we're trying to think through everything we can to make it the best experience possible. So that's the best answer I have for you tonight, Sister Brown.
One more question. If I have 10 staff, can I photocopy their ID so when we get to the front and you're scanning the ticket, you can look at that photocopy ID instead of, as you said, people scrambling their bags to find their IDs?
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I'll make a note of it. But what we want to do is actually see the ID and make sure that that person matches the person who has the ticket. It's not just a piece of paper and a piece of paper and match. Part of this goes back to us trying to up the way that we protect kids, to make sure that everybody that's coming is supposed to be there. You've registered them. They match this ticket to this face, to this ID. That triangle says we scan you, you're supposed to be here. So that's where we are with that process. And again, if you have ideas or suggestions, feel free to send them to us. I know some of you are saying them now, which is fine, but those are things that we are open to. I will caution it this way, that just because someone makes a suggestion doesn't mean that we're going to do it. And it doesn't mean that if we don't do it, that we don't care about your suggestion. It does mean that with the 100 pieces that we see, this is the best solution that we come up with. And this is why we do it this way. Usually that's a very thoughtful process that we go through. So just kind of keep that in mind as you watch. But yes, definitely feel free to give us feedback. Feel free to give us suggestions, and feel free to trust us that we are working with all the information we have to make the decision that we think is best for that event.
Also, just to clarify, for buses, we have had different suggestions of maybe making a separate entrance for the buses, because we know
Correct.
last time some of you guys did get charged extra for waiting in line and things like that. So we are trying to figure out how we can help buses and RVs and truck wagons as
Yes.
well, kind of get out of the line of the general public. But yeah, just in case.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that's true. There are more details than what we've shared with you tonight about what we're putting in place to try to keep that flow happening so that people don't get stuck in line for an hour or sometimes more than that. Thank you, Marina, for the input. All right, let's go to Tomas, and then we have Stu, and then I'll start to wrap us up. If you do need to go, you can. And again, I'll stay as long as we have questions because we want to answer everything we can. Tomas, it's your turn.
Hey, thanks, Pastor. One question and one consideration. As you go through this, I know you guys are figuring out because of how to do that 2-car thing. You know, if in the case of people that are driving there with a lot of parents, you should think about what are the logistics of the operation. How are people going to wait until their turn to go in? Where are they going to wait at so that it doesn't clog up? You know, everything like that. You know, even
Correct.
further along the line. So just something for you guys to think about.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Yep. And then I joined a little bit late, so I apologize. Can you just tell me, just confirmation, tomorrow there's a meeting to invite parents for, is that accurate? And,
For Central
no?
Florida, your area administrator, Lurlette, has set up a Zoom meeting for Central Florida parents to get information about Red Zone. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. There was somebody else, I think, after Tomas before Tiffany, or did I miss someone? Did
That was
Stu?
me, Pastor Pedro. Sorry, I changed my name. That's my husband's name.
Oh, I was like, what happened to Stu? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Pastor. I joined late also, so I just have a quick question about the ID. Is it specifically driver's license, or can it be like work ID, school ID?
We have said that we would accept a photo ID. So if it has to be your bank card with your photo on it and your name, we take it. But ideally, it would be a government issued ID, whether that's a driver's license, passport. I know I'm not asking you to travel with your passport. That might be scary for some of you, or something you're not comfortable with, and that's fine. But ideally, it's a driver's license. The only reason we've made that exception is because we've come to understand that not everyone has a driver's license. So in that case, we just said photo ID, but ideally for us, it is a government issued photo ID like a driver's license.
Okay, yeah, because I have some 18-year-olds who are coming who may not have a driver's license yet. So
Understood.
Thank you.
Understood. You're welcome. All right, that's good. You guys ask great questions, and we know that you care about young people. We care about young people. We know you're doing your best. We trust that you trust us, that we're doing our best. And together we can make this a great Red Zone. So we're excited about that piece of it. We know that there's wisdom that exists outside of our office team. And we've talked to some other people outside of our team, to our volunteer team. Thank you for your input tonight. And I hope that you know that there's an open door in terms of my cell phone is in the chat. You know my email, if that's easier for you. Hopefully you know how to get a hold of us. If you feel more comfortable talking to one of your cluster coordinators or area administrators to ask us something, feel free to do that. But we'd rather have you ask us and talk about it and take your input than have you think that we don't care or don't want to get any input from you. Because that's not the case.
Santiago has his hand up in the chat.
Oh, I have a comment when you're done, Pastor Pedro, or whomever is next.
Okay, let me do one thing because I keep forgetting about it and it just came back to my mind, and then we'll go to Santiago and then to Eartha. So from security, we have Merlin Brooks, who would like to remind everyone tonight that there is room for every club to provide an adult to do 2 to 4 hours of a security shift, whether that's staying at the front gate, whether it's checking wristbands, whether it's helping out with some other part. So if you would like to email Merlin, and I can put her email in the chat here in a second, but we are asking for clubs who have an adult or two that could do 2 to 4 hours of helping with security to reach out to Merlin with to be able to help with security during Red Zone. All right, let's go to Eartha, your comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I know we've gone over a lot of information tonight, and I know it can be stressful, and I know it's a lot of things happening when we come to Red Zone. But one thing I just wanted to ask this group is to remember, when you pray when you leave, just to please keep that when you get to Red Zone. I mean, a lot of things can happen. It can get a little bit stressful. Just know that we are doing everything in our power to make it smoothly for you, but also to please remember that we all represent Jesus, or we want to represent Jesus, to, you know, bring that Christian-like character with you, right? You're building character for for eternity, and we have to walk with those characters that we're building and also be an example for young people. So getting upset and, you know, stressing, just remember that when we get squeezed, we want orange juice, something sweet to come out, not lemons. So if we can all remember that, I think it will help ease the transition. I know we talked a little bit about the long lines, but if we all cooperate and we all work, I think we will get it done, and we can still represent, you know, in a good character building way, represent Jesus. So I just wanted to remind everyone to please keep that in mind when we come to Red Zone and try to get through the security portion and registration portion.
Thank you, Eartha. Don't you love Eartha's sweet approach to things? Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you giving that input. And yes, we're not trying to stress you out. We're actually trying to keep the whole thing moving smoothly. So if we fail, let us know about it. If we do well, let us know about it. The bottom line is, if you want to tell us something, please come with a suggestion. We're not trying to mess things up. We're trying to make things better. So I think I skipped over Santiago, and then I saw that Calvin had his hand up, and now it's gone. But is Santiago still here and wants to make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Santiago.
We're coming back to Red Zone this year, and last year my club won the second place on 10 competition, and I still do not have my pins for my kids. It's been
the medallions.
almost a year. Yep, my pins for second place, I still doesn't have it, and it's, you know, it's been hard for me right now to make them participate when they basically told me, what about if they don't give us anything again?
Yeah.
So is there a way that I can get my pins for them?
Can you, yes, can you remind me of the club you're with, Santiago?
Plant City Spanish.
Which one?
Plant City Spanish.
Plant City Spanish. And I will look into that, and we will try to make that right. Would they be sent to you, and then you would get them to your club?
Of course. Or tell me where I can get it, and I will pick them up.
Will you be at Spanish camp meeting by chance?
No, we're not going this year.
Okay. Will you go
He's in
watch
Orlando.
PPE in Tampa?
He lives in Orlando.
Yeah, I live in Orlando.
Okay. So let me check with Jose Diaz, who runs that part of Red Zone, and I will let you know. Thank you for saying that. And please apologize to your kids on our behalf. I'm sorry that that's happened. Our desire is to give those to everybody at Red Zone, and that's been something that that we've tried. So thank you for letting me know that. And I see Cheryl put something in the chat that Forest Lake also is missing some stuff. So I'll follow up on that. Okay, and who's this? Brown, sorry, remind me of the club from Brown. Sister Brown.
Palm
Springs.
Springs.
Got it. Okay, so let me just say this as well. I know some of you have, I think we sent something out on this, but there was also a glitch with the drill trophies. Those will be available for you from 2022 at Red Zone 2023. So that was something that there have been some issues there, and we finally sorted that out. But I apologize for the delay in those trophies, but we are working on that, and those should be available for you at Red Zone. So if you did get a drill trophy, that's something that we should have for you. Thank you for speaking up, and thank you for the chat. Drum trophies are missing. Oh, whoa, man. Okay, this is a surprise to me. Thank you for speaking up. So let me ask this. If you could please send me what you're missing in an email, so I can get, like, I see that there are different trophies missing or different things, but if you can send me a list of the things you're missing, that would help. And then we can manage that way. So an email, and Marina, could you type my email in there real quick? Someone did ask in the chat about volunteers for security. When should you come? Just come when you normally do. And then we would use you on Friday night or Sabbath evening or Sunday, and Merlin can work with you. But just send Merlin an email saying that you'd be willing to participate in security, and she will contact you and set up a schedule and do all that with you. But you don't have to come early. You don't have to change your schedule. Let me just say this real quick in terms of best practice. One of the things that I really appreciate, a club from South Florida had someone come up and set up all their tents for, I think it was it Southern Union Camporee? Maybe it was for Red Zone. I forget what it was, but the kids didn't come on the bus until late that night. But when the kids got there, they just walked in with their pillow and their tents were already set up. And I was like, I love that intentionality and I love that organization. And I know not every club can do that. Like, it's a different vehicle, it's a different person, but I love it when a club says, we want to get everything there. We want our kids to have the best experience possible. And maybe you send a vehicle up early. Registration, a check-in begins at 2 o'clock. You can start coming in at 2 o'clock. You don't have to wait till later. But if you come in, get set up, we'd love to have everybody set up, everything settled down, everybody at the evening program. Ideally, I get it, people work, I get it, people are waiting for kids to get out of school. But whatever you can do to try to keep that schedule, to try to keep everybody moving in that direction, I would appreciate it. And I think it would go a long ways to send our kids a message of how we feel about the event, how we feel about getting ready for Sabbath, and how we feel about making sure that things are all set up to the best of our ability. So we know you're doing your part. We're trying to do our part together, and with God's help, we're going to get there. I will go back to Calvin. Did you still have something for tonight? I saw your hand, then it disappeared. Calvin, any words for us as our state administrator for Pathfinders?
No, what I was gonna, good evening, everyone. I am pleased to see the amount of people on and they are taking part. That show how interested we are in Red Zone. No, you deal with what I was gonna deal with already. But in the meanwhile, I just want to remind everyone that there's a prayer tent there, and we would like young people to come and pray at the prayer tent and to enjoy what it is like to pray for someone or to pray with each other.
Thank you, Calvin, and thank you for faithfully running our prayer tent over the years.
Okay.
Also, just in case, the baptism form, I put the link on the chat. It's also on the Red Zone website. I know some of you guys have been asking for that. If you have any kids that want to get baptized at Red Zone in the spring,
awesome.
Please be sure to have them fill out this form.
Thank you for that reminder. And yes, baptism is a big part of events at camp, and we love to see young people have that experience at camp and have that memory of being baptized during one of those events. We've also made a window.
We do have a candidate. We do have candidates already. So just want to tell you that, yeah, if you want someone, just know that we're going to have it right after the divine service or the worship hour service on Sabbath. So if you want to add to that list, let us know.
Thank you, Eartha. All right, everyone, thank you for being on. I'm going to stop the recording after the prayer. And then if you have a question that you didn't ask before that you want to ask, we'll stay on for a little while to see what happens. But thank you again to everyone who came on, and let's pray together. Our God and our Father, thank you again for giving us this time to meet. Thank you for giving us the privilege to be a part of Pathfinder and Adventure Ministry here in Florida Conference. Thank you for the strength of club ministries and all these churches represented. Thank you for all the directors, all the secretaries, all the adults that work so hard at the local club level to keep their clubs organized and operating smoothly. Thank you for all of our team of volunteers, our OAVs that work so hard to help plan and put together things. And thank you also for our office team. And we pray, Father, that as we work together, that you would help us to make this one of our very best Red Zone experiences so far. And we pray that as we go through that weekend, that we would all be reminded that there is no greater love than the love that Jesus has shared with us. So help us to enjoy that, help us to find a renewed beauty in that love, and help us to extend that love to one another and to the world around us. We pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you again for coming on.